Big matchup in the Big 12. Top 10 matchup in Lubbock. Number 7 BYU, number 8 Texas Tech. And look who's in the building. Patrick Mahomes looking at his alma mater. BYU seeking 11 straight season, a straight win dating back to last season, that is. But they would come in nearly 2-touchdown underdogs to the Red Raiders. Baron Morton here to Caleb Douglas, putting Texas Tech up 10. Great awareness to get that foot in there. Mahomes certainly likes that. BYU scored 10 or more points in every half this season, but that was not the case here. Kept off the board due to some miscues, a missed field goal. Cougars held scoreless in the first half for the first time in 2 years. And once again, Patrick Mahomes loving it on his bye week. Can the Cougars get the offensive going in the second half? Mid-third, down 16-0 now. Bear Bachmeier under pressure, looking for his guy Roberts, but picked off by Jacob Rodriguez. Taken down to the BYU 22. Rodriguez's third interception of the season. It would lead to a field goal. There's wifey. Early fourth, Texas Tech driving. Morton looking for Cameron Dickey. Working his way down the sideline. Pushed out of bounds at the BYU 30. A few plays later, handing it off to Dickey. And it's 29-7 is your final. First win versus an AP top team for Texas Tech since 2012. Best 10-game start at 9-1 since 2008. And for BYU, the loss snaps a 10-game win streak. Dickey, by the way, his second career 100-yard game. And the under never in doubt in this one. Cashes at 50 and a hook. Hey there, folks. I'm Tommy Tran with Damien Harris, Bryant McFadden, and Danny Kanell to break down this top 10 matchup that went the way of the hometown team. Dame, I'm going to give you first word. What stood out to you in terms of your pregame thoughts of how you think this game would play out and how it actually played out today?
Well, it was all about the defense, and we came into this game talking about Texas Tech's defense. BYU, Bear Bachmeier, they hadn't played a defense that was this good. They hadn't played a defense to where so much capital was invested into the players that were on that defensive front, especially for the Texas Tech Red Raiders, and they just eliminated Bear Bachmeier from the game. Everything that he's done well up until this point, they eliminated him from being able to do that. I mean, he was 23 for 38, 188 yards, 1 passing touchdown, 1 interception. Those are okay numbers for a freshman quarterback, but for Bear Bachmeier, who has set the standard up here for the way that he's played, the fact that Texas Tech was able to limit that was the story of the game. Because offensively, Texas Tech didn't do much. They didn't do anything to really step on the throat of BYU, but it was the defense that was just the one constant. BYU could never get anything going on offense.
Yeah, when we look at the line, right, Vegas kind of told the story before the story was in play. The line was set at 10, and we saw line movement right before kickoff increase to 13. So they were already kind of insinuating that they felt like Texas Tech would be the better team for 4 quarters. And Texas Tech showed the odd makers out in Vegas to be true. And it was all about their defense, to Damien's point, because Baron Morton, and he just didn't have a real efficient day. They ran the football well, but it seemed like he was a bit off in terms of his passing. But the defense stood up. They delivered. They made life miserable for Bear and the entire offense. You look at their ability, Texas Tech, to rush the passer has been felt. They have the lead sack getter in college football on their team, not to mention the lead forced fumble getter as well in Jacob Rodriguez. Both players had huge say-sos in the success for Texas Tech. So they have a championship-level defense, Danny. It showed today. But moving forward, for them to get to the level they would like to get to, they need to get more from their offense.
I thought, coming into this game, the thing that was so impressive about BYU and their undefeated streak was their composure. Remember, we talked about that in the pregame show. Bear Bachmeier looked so composed, more mature than a true freshman. He looked like a true freshman tonight, and so did all of BYU. I mean, the mistakes they made in the special teams, mishandling a punt, missing a kick, and that's a credit to Texas Tech because they took them out of their game, and Lubbock was rocking. The home crowd was absolutely awesome, and it's a credit to Texas Tech's defense because they were the ones that were forcing some of those turnovers and did have Bear Bachmeier rattled throughout the game. Jacob Rodriguez is one of the best football players in the country, and he was out there, making his case for the Heisman Trophy. It's a long shot, but I think he definitely needs to get his story out there. But we also talked about the defense for Texas Tech. That was a big point of investment, how much money they had spent on the defensive line. That investment paid off dividends today.
Okay, so let me just collectively surmise what you guys are saying. Elite defense, offense still needs work if they're going to be in terms of a national champion contender. Am I right? Does that seem like it's fair to you guys?
Absolutely. And I would say not just offensively, but especially at the quarterback position. Baron Morton, he needs to play better. I mean, offensively, when you talk about complementary football, you can't hang your hat on the defense and say, just go win us the football game. They can obviously make plays that impact the game, but offense has got to pull their weight, and it starts with Baron Morton. Did not have his best day today. He can play better. If he plays better, if this offense picks up around him, you match that with the defense that they've got, and they're right up there with anybody else in the country.
So with that being said, it's interesting because I have a graphic here of the odds to win the national championship, and it might surprise you guys to see where Texas Tech is at 18-1. Interestingly enough, guys, would any of you take Texas Tech over Notre Dame, Georgia, Oregon, or Ole Miss to win the national championship? Because it seems like the respect that they're getting, or lack thereof, is because of said offense/quarterback.
I would take them over Notre Dame.
Agreed.
I would.
I think Notre Dame should probably have the same odds as Texas Tech. Like, I think it's more of overvalue.
They're a popular
of Notre
team,
Dame.
though, so maybe that's why they're getting an not necessarily reflection of the team.
But every other
itself.
team, I would look at those and say, you know what, they've had an offense, or a more complete team, but even more specifically an offense which has shown an ability to take over if the defense struggles. I don't know if I've seen that from Texas Tech yet. And their defense is really good. They might not need it. Maybe they can win with great defense and okay quarterback play. But I think at some point they're going to need Baron Morton to step up. And he's been banged up. Like he it'd be helpful if he could get healthy. But it's hard to get healthy when you're playing games.
And it was nice to have Will Ham in the backup, but he's also hurt and not going to be available the rest of the way. Quickly, last thing, Danny, when you are offensively challenged, maybe perhaps at Texas Tech, is there anything you can do now in the short term to help fix that between now and the end of the season?
Run the football. Okay. I mean, that's how we're talking about Baron Morton's struggles. They still ran the ball fairly effectively today. That to me is what they're going to have to do, because think about it. When you're a defensive, that's your mentality, that's your reputation, that's what you're living off of. You run the football with success. Your defense gets stops. You're able to control the time of possession. You're able to keep it away from the other team. So I think the more they can run the football, the better off Texas Tech will be.
Okay. It'll be interesting to see Tuesday's ranking release and see where Texas Tech maybe gets elevated, how far BYU falls. And, of course, there's a big potential outcome of having these two teams face each other in the title game once again. But here's a look at BYU past 6 road games versus AP-ranked teams. 0 for 6, and you see that point differential. They have not defeated an AP-ranked team on the road since 2020. Top 10 matchup in Lubbock, which was hailed the Big 12 game of the year, goes to the Red Raiders, 29-7 over BYU. Their first win over an AP top 10 team since 2012. Best 10 game start since 2008. That Michael Crabtree Red Raider team started 10-0 that season. Here's a look at the college football playoff fallout after today's game. BYU drops to just under 31%, and Texas Tech holding steady at 74%. So let's continue that conversation with Mackenzie Brooks in terms of this game and what we're seeing right now in the college football landscape. Hey, Ken.
Hi, guys. Yeah, it seems like even with this loss today, there's still a fairly good shot that we're going to get 2 Big 12 teams. Now, even before today, we'd like Texas Tech to win this game, and we'd like Texas Tech to go on and win the Big 12 championship. So, again, you saw that 74% number. We do like them the best out of the Big 12 teams to make the college football playoff. As of right now, BYU, we'd still be putting in there because, again, that's one loss, and then they could potentially go on and lose to Cincinnati and then still make the Big 12 Conference Championship. The situation you see now, though, is what if they go 10-2 in the regular season? They go on to this Conference Championship. They lose to Texas Tech again. And what if you have the Longhorns here? What if you have Texas who go 10-2 in their regular season, which is a very likely outcome? They could be either Georgia or Texas A&M here. That's the issue you're going to see. So right now there's an opportunity of 5 SEC teams or an opportunity of 2 Big 12 teams. It'll be up to the committee to decide. Are we taking a 10-2 regular season BYU that lost in the Big 12 championship? Are we taking a regular season 10-2 Texas that didn't even sniff a conference championship? These are the two situations. You can't have Texas in and a second Big 12 team, so that's where we're going to run into issues and probably a lot of argument and conversation. As of right now, our odds of Texas Tech either going 10-2 or 9-3 and making the football playoff are literally tied with having a second team here from the Big 12. But as of right now, technically, apparently. Danny, I'm helping you
Can
out
I
here.
just ask something? Because I see all of these teams. And I don't see Michigan. I don't see them in there. Where is Michigan? Okay, right here.
Old man
Just
can't
one.
see. The old
I
man
know,
can't
but
see.
Why aren't we putting them up here potentially? Or SC? Why aren't we penciling them up there to the Big Ten spot?
They're so far ahead of these teams. There was always going to be 3 teams from the Big 12 and the ACC. If Penn State did what they were supposed to do, yes, we would probably see 4 and 4, but they haven't. And no one else has the strength of schedule to do it where key wins.
Just if Michigan beats Ohio State for the 5th time in a row, put them in there. SC, they won last night, a nice win against Northwestern. They could be in there.
They all
I think you're
cannibalize
sleeping
each
on.
other. Iowa too.
But that's going to
USC,
happen
they're gonna
also
play
in
each
the
other.
SEC. They could get cannibalized too. Texas A&M still has Texas.
A 10
They're
and 2.
fine though.
They
I mean,
can
Ole Miss
split
has
games.
the
They
Egg
can-
Bowl. Ole Miss has the Egg Bowl. Georgia has Texas this
Dude.
weekend. I like how we're just automatically putting all these 4 SEC teams. And you want 5.
I'm not
going back
saying there
over
has
here.
to be 5. And A&M could go 2 and 2 the rest of the way and still make the college football playoff. Alabama has to go 3 and 1. They can still drop a game too with their strength of
Don't
schedule.
sleep on those
The
Big Ten teams.
conversation and the issue is going to be if BYU does not win out, what are we doing with BYU? Or the Texas Tech if they don't win out either. This is the messy situation. Do we get a second Big 12 or are we going to get a 5th SEC? As of right now, BYU did not help themselves today. There's a very realistic situation where they're a 10-2 regular season team and Texas is a regular season 10-2 team. And then we have to start having conversations. Is the committee going to reward a Texas team that didn't even sniff the conference championship, which I agree might be wrong, or are they going to allow BYU to have the respect of making a conference championship and losing it? That's the situation we're in. But right now, we're siding with BYU in the
Don't
Big
forget
12.
about
Let that be
Louisville
known.
down there too. Louisville's good.
They're all
I mean,
going to
come on.
cannibalize
You're
each other
forgetting
next
about
week.
these
They got the
teams.
ponies coming up.
I love how we also just sprinkle all the G5 schools for potpourri. Just got a
Oh,
graphic.
yeah, by the way, we got South Florida.
I know,
South
it's-
Florida right now. You're making it into the college
I love how
football
there are like
playoff.
6 G5 contenders.
Perfect.
Thrown in there. And I'm a
That's the full
G5 guy, to be fair. Back here with the fellas. So, obviously, there's still a lot to play out in terms of what we're potentially going to see in the college football playoff. But the conversation I think everyone's having today is what Ken's and we had upstairs again. A second Big 12 team or a 5th SEC team. BMAC, where do you land when it comes to, say, specifically a BYU and a Texas?
I think the Big 12 will get multiple teams in. Seeing what happened today, let's say hypothetically speaking, Texas Tech, they get to a championship game, Big 12 championship game, and they lose, right? They lose that game to whoever. Let's say it's a Cincinnati. Let's say it's a Utah. It could be a BYU. Well, the winner will go get into the playoffs for sure. What happens to Texas Tech? If their second loss came in the
title
Big 12
game,
championship
and their
game.
first was without their quarterback, Barrett Morton.
Yeah, so that's why I think the likelihood of the Big 12 getting 2 teams into the playoffs is very likely.
Now, do they get 2, though, if Tech runs the table? And again, for instance, BYU does get back, but then they lose for a second time against
I don't think so. I don't think they do. I think some of it might depend on
You
the
just
score.
said
but
conference
losing
championship
today-
games shouldn't matter if you lose them.
No, I don't think that. I think it depends on how you look in those conference games. Like if they get beat, I mean, look at what they did to Florida State a couple years ago. They won an ACC championship
Byron
game,
Morris.
and they left them out because there was a quarterback injury. I think it depends on how the teams look. Last year, they were going to leave out SMU. If they would have lost by 3 touchdowns to Clemson,
You're
they
the
would
one
have left them
Let me
out.
get over here.
Get
You're
in
the
the camera.
one
Get in the
barking
camera.
up the tree that the conference championship loss should not matter.
I never said that. Who said they shouldn't matter?
You always say that. You're like, well, that's how you're supposed to. Not
depends.
supposed to be
I think
penalized.
it
This is a
depends
direct Danny
on
Kanell
how
quote.
those
You're
games
not
unfold.
supposed to be penalized for
BMAC's like
making
the
your
principal
conference
right now.
championship.
He's just listening.
And what if
Observing.
this team goes 11-1, this BYU team, then they're 11-2 after losing to Texas Tech? You're saying they shouldn't get it.
No. I'm trying to fix my microphone.
You're impossible to figure out.
This is like debate.
I'm like the committee. Because the committee is impossible to figure out, too.
True
Essentially,
story.
they can do whatever they want.
True story. So,
I'll give you a final word. Just give me your quick thought here on that word.
well, I want to go back to your original question.
Okay.
Can you ask it one more time? The Texas Tech or the BYU
Versus like a Texas, for instance. Like, let's just say Texas ends up 9-3,
Yeah.
and BYU runs the table, but they lose, so they're now 10-2. So, which team would you have if there's only one slot left to go? And again, a 9-3 Texas team would have at least one win over a Georgia or a Texas A&M at the end of the day.
I'm going to go Texas. And I'm also going to say something that it might not be the most popular thing to say on TV, but at the end of the day, as much as this is football, this is still TV. The branding matters. What the logo that's on the side of your helmet, it matters. Mackenzie Brooks, our lead analytics, she's over there nodding her head because it's absolutely true. So regardless of, I know we want to talk about, Texas, they'll have a win against a ranked opponent. BYU won't have this. Texas will have that. At the end of the day, we're talking about the brand of the University of Texas matching up against a Notre Dame, against an Ohio State, against an Alabama, maybe even a Georgia, maybe even a Georgia Tech, the top teams of different conferences. That's just a more attractive and appealing matchup than BYU in those same games. So I'm going to go Texas based off of criteria, based off of who they've beat and things like that. But I'm not going to sit here and act like it's not for ratings as well. Right. And they don't like to see the best teams and the best brands and the best matchups come playoff time to boost those ratings all the way up.
Which is part of Notre Dame's case if they're
come on now
again, because the committee, if given the chance, will most likely not leave Notre Dame out if applicable. All right. Inside the lines, Mackenzie Brooks, part of this team, projections, prices, best bets. Scan the QR code. Make sure to check them out or go to cbssports.com/ITL.